Good morning, Beaver. How are you? Pastor Leah here. Just want to stop in to say hello and to give you a quick update on things that are going on with our church. If you notice, I'm talking a bit slower today because I am from Milwaukee and I like to talk super fast. So I decided that I need to slow it down a bit. All right. So my first item that I want to talk about is the Beacon Shop Ministries. It is in full effect. Thanking Mrs. Caitlin for her transfer of knowledge. She did a fantastic job, right? When I got here, she talked to me about the dynamics and all the good stuff about the ministry. And it is able to keep operating off of the things that she set up to get this ministry going in our community. So thank you, Mrs. Caitlin. Thank you, Mrs. Lauren Peck. Her group, Moms Demand Action Group, they held a supply drive for us, y'all, for the Beacon Ministry. They held a supply drive, and last week, Lauren dropped off all the goodies into my office. So we have more donations. Mrs. Barbara Allison for being adamant about keeping this ministry going. Just thank you. There has been some changes in how we do things. For instance, there's no more gathering in the fellowship hall, right? But we are still able to serve our community. So thank you. And I want to keep encouraging you all to keep donating. Don't put it back in your brain, put it in the middle brain, because we always need donations. And I just remember Mrs. Retta connected with the Churches of Council of Churches to secure some funding for us, right? So we are cooking with gas. Yeah. So Beacon Ministry always need volunteers, and we are open, okay? My next update is on the survey that was sent out. Who are we as a church, right? That was never to question our identity. It is only to strengthen, to recommit to, and to reform what we already have got going on, which is some pretty good things. These workshops are designed for conversations. As we all know, most of the time when we're in big groups, right, you have a few dominating voices. These workshops are created where the person who rarely talks is always heard. So it requires full participation. Even if you miss a workshop or two, just try to join one, all right? That way when we are coasting, you'll be part of the vision that we have here at Beaver. So the survey results, right? The survey was designed to talk about our next steps. You all voted that diversity and inclusion should be our next workshop. That is fantastic. That'll give us the opportunity to dig deep into what it means to be diverse and to be inclusive, right? Beaver, we know it is time to move past the cliche words. So we get the chance to really own what we say together. So I am very excited about that. All right, so look out for an email about that. My next update is Busy Beaver. Today on this segment, you will get to meet our new director, Mrs. Charlene. For those of you who do not know her or have not met her, she's been with Busy Beaver for 5 years, but recently got promoted to director in June. So you get to hear about her, right? And you get to hear about how can we as a church support this ministry of daycare, right? Because some of us, kids who don't go to daycare, we forget how we can be supportive and how we can build those relationships between the ladies who work at the daycare, the families that work at the daycare. How can we as a church build those relationships, right? It's always work that needs to be done. So you'll meet her today. You'll meet Miss Charlene, and you'll hear about all the initiative that she has going on. It's the big one that we have going on, and I say we, Beaver, Kinderfolk, and Busy Beaver, right? It's the playground. Yay! We've been working on this playground, and all of our kids that go here will benefit from playing on this playground. So there's always a need for donations there. Miss Charlene will talk about that. But we're just so excited during this time we can see growth. And again, you'll hear Miss Charlene talk about that. Oh, you'll get to meet one of our board members today. Yay. Okay, so what I am trying to do during these segments, I want to introduce each time that I do this, a board member, right? We need to meet the board. And today you'll get to meet Mr. Mark. For those of you who have not met him, wonderful guy. You'll see through the video. Just a wonderful servant of God. Beautiful family. For me, he's an inspiration. And he talks about why he commits his time to church. And that's a beautiful thing. So today you'll get to meet him. He'll tell you about what he does for the church. And like I said, just a wonderful guy. So you'll get to meet Mr. Mark. And while we're talking about the board, we have had a few changes. We have 3 new members who, they have not had a meeting yet, but they've joined our board. Mrs. Nancy Shin, Doug Hess, and then we have James Stryker, okay? And again, we are cooking with gas. And I just want to thank everyone who has served in the past, who's serving now, right? To get us to this place. Church administration is not easy, right? But there's a way it could be done where the board members could be spiritually fed. And for those of you who are not on the board, pray for your board members, right? Lift them up in prayer. Keep them in the back of your mind that these people need support because they're making decisions when some of us are sleeping, right? Yeah. Last but not least, hopefully I'm still talking slow. I'm trying to. Anyway, sermon series. Okay. So I am so into including people in their gifts, right? One thing that they trained us at seminary is to observe and to see who God has sent to the congregation, right? So each time I meet one of you all, I was like, what gifts do they bring, right? Why are they here? And so part of my sermon series, I am asking you to send me suggestions on what you would like to hear. What would you like to talk about? What would you like to dig deep into, right? We have tons of professionals in our congregations who will be able to talk about topics and things that we all want to hear. So I'm saying send in your suggestions to me. That way I can preach about them, we can talk about them, and we can dig deeper and maybe offer some resources on things that you want to hear. I'm asking that you send in those suggestions at least by the 23rd. And that can just be for our first set. And if this goes good, we can keep, doing these sermon series. Yes. Yeah, so send me those. And I don't know if I said this already, but Mrs. Retta for the Beacon Ministry, hopefully I said this. She reached out to the Council of Churches and did a phenomenal job on securing funds. I think I said that, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that. Anyway, back to the sermon series. Send me suggestions so we can talk about it, so we can preach about it, so we can, read about it. Okay? I hear somebody out there. Love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Hi, my name is Charlene Regal, and I am the director of Busy Beaver here at Beaver Memorial United Methodist Church. I've been with Busy Beaver since middle of March 2016. I started out teaching here and recently became the director. I have my degree in early childhood education, and I love working with children. Busy Beaver has pretty much become second home to me. We currently have 9 staff members here at Busy Beaver and 32 children enrolled. We are just about ready to start enrolling again, so our max capacity is 45 with 4 different classrooms. Things have been going very well here with COVID. We have a little bit more restrictions with reopening and trying to keep supplies on hand, but other than that, things have been going great, and we are ready to get back in with the new school year and keep the kids coming in to support Beaver.
Okay, Charlene, you have a few different initiatives going on. Would you mind sharing with us about the playground?
Absolutely. So the playground has been a work in progress here at Beaver for quite a few years. When I came in, we were trying to start fundraising and renovating the playground, and we really didn't have a game plan set in place. So once I joined the director team back in 2018, it was really a big thing for me to really get the playground up and going for the children. So this past month, we actually had someone come in from New Jersey, and we are in the midst of getting synthetic grass put in for the children to start renovating the playground. So that should be in August, and then we are going to be purchasing new equipment out there for as well. So we will have a whole new facelift to the front of the church.
Wow, that sounds super exciting. So how could Beaver be supportive to your ministry as director of Busy Beaver Daycare?
Well, Busy Beaver is always looking for volunteers. You have to have clearances in order to volunteer, as well as a TB test. But the teachers really look forward to having extra hands for arts and craft time, or guest readers in the classroom, someone just to help pat backs or rock a baby. So just anybody that would be willing to volunteer and come over and give, an hour here and there, even more time if they had it. It's just special to us to always have familiar, friendly faces from the church over here to help out with the kids.
Wonderful. And you and your crew, you guys did a bunch of renovations. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Sure. We actually, during the shutdown, we took 3 weeks before we reopened, and we took the opportunity to paint all the classrooms, and we did all the radiators over as well. We also installed new carpeting in the infant and crawler room with the help of the church. We got the carpeting put in and new flooring under all the tables. We updated the bathroom by getting a new vanity in there. We got all new decorations for the classroom, all new mini blinds, and just kind of upped our game a little bit so parents would have a fresh face to come back to.
Wonderful, Charlene. Well, thank you so much for just giving us a brief overview of what you do. And we are so happy that you are a part of this ministry of Beaver. And again, if you need anything from us, please always reach out to let us know how we can help you, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene. The babies. Mark, thank you so much for joining us this morning. So how about we start with you just telling us about yourself?
Okay, so yes, so I'm Mark Hausman. I have a wife, Emily, and daughters, Kate and May. I work at Bucknell University. I moved to Lewisburg. We moved to Lewisburg in 2008, so I've been there since that time. Emily has done a number of different things, and we could talk a bit about all the different jobs that she's had. She's currently working with a jewelry company downtown. And then Kate is going to be a freshman in high school. She's our 14-year-old, and May is going to be an 8th grader, and she'll be 13 this summer. So we'll have 2 teenagers in the house in about a month.
Wow.
Which is exciting and scary.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mark. So you're on the board. So what do you exactly do on the board?
It's a good question. So yeah, the board, we work as a team to try to help to manage everything that goes on in the building and to work with the congregation. But everyone on the board has different roles with liaising with different ministry teams. And so these ministry teams are things like Christian education, Busy Beaver, there's worship, there's missions. And so the ministry team that Brian Langdon and I both kind of are liaisons for is the building. So everything that has to do with building maintenance, because that's obviously with a big, beautiful building like this, that's a big job. And so I guess for anyone that's watching this, if you have ever any questions about the building, you can talk to anyone on the board, and obviously Pastor Leah, but Brian and I are the ones that try to manage that. And I should say that we are still learning from Chuck Root. So
yes,
he's the one that knows so much, but
Absolutely.
He's been very gracious in teaching us things and helping us kind of get up to speed.
Wonderful. So you mentioned your wife and your kids. You've left out what you do. So what do you do?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. What do you do for a living?
So I work at Bucknell University. I'm a professor there. So I'm a professor in the biology department. I started there in 2008. So I've been there for a while now. And yeah, that keeps me busy doing a whole bunch of different things, but it's a really great job. So happy to be there, happy to have it.
And recently, would you share the special announcement that you just found out?
Yes, very embarrassing now, but I just found out yesterday that I won a Distinguished Teaching Award at Bucknell. So they give some teaching awards every year to faculty who, based on their service with students and in the classroom and in the research laboratory. So that was really an honor. Very blessed to have that happen, just because I think, like all of us, we take our job seriously. So when we're recognized, it's really fun.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So Mark, you have a full life. You have a full career, and you just won this distinguished award, which means that you phenomenal worker and husband and dad. And what makes you want to stay committed to Beaver, with knowing that sometimes church and church business can be so weighty on one's soul?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I should say, so we started coming to Beaver, it was probably about, Emily could correct me immediately, but it was probably about 2010. So we moved to town. I grew up Lutheran. My grandfather was a Lutheran pastor. On the other side of the family, we were Lutheran since the Reformation. So we started off looking at Lutheran churches, but we just didn't really find one that fit. And so we had some friends here that had kids our age that said, hey, you should check this place out. And so we did, and we immediately fell in love with it. It was clear to us from really just the first week that this was a church that's really a mission-based church, right? It's a church that isn't comfortable staying here in the building. It's a church that wants to reach out into the community and to try to help. And that, along with it being a church that's just really open to everyone, no matter your race, your sexual orientation, those were two things that were so important to us. And so with my extended family's sorrows, I guess, I stopped being a Lutheran and became a Methodist. No, they're fine with it. So we've been coming here since that time. Now Emily, for those that know her, really just jumps into things. So she's been involved with so many different things at Beaver really from the beginning. I mean, she's been in education and she's headed up different ministry programs, and it's been really amazing. I was more of an honestly Christian consumer, right? You know, I came to church. I would help with things here and there, little things, but probably wasn't involved as deeply. And a year and a half ago now, 2 years ago, when I was asked to be on the board, I thought a lot about it because I knew it was going to be a big commitment. But what I realized was there has been a lot of people at this church for a long time, much longer than I've been coming here. And for the people watching this video, we all know who they are, that have really carried this church for a long, long time. And so I just felt like it was time that I basically stopped being just a consumer and also tried to help out. And so that's where I got involved. Many of the people in the church have been involved in those, I think, leadership roles before, and they're time consuming. But I think it's just important to kind of keep this church doing all the amazing things it does. I'm constantly blown away by how many different programs the church has and how much outreach they do. And that all takes a lot of planning by a lot of the people in the congregation. So I'm happy to help out with that as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much Mr. Mark for being here today and just again for working so hard to serve Beaver and the greater community of Lewisburg.
Thank you.
To better understand the structure of our board, you can read the book Mission Possible by Kay Cotan. During this pandemic, we will be using and practicing social distancing measures so that we can worship together safely with adequate spacing. One last thing about worship, okay? I know growing up, no one ever really explained to me the meaning of the bulletin. In seminary, one of my classes that I took was called Christian Worship. We had to go through each item of the bulletin. We had to research it and understand its significance. We also learned that when we showed up to church, by way of showing up, we are saying that we are worshiping and we are participating in all the elements that are in the bulletin or that are in the worship service. Some of us have been trained to come to worship, to critique the pastor, to critique the music, to critique each other, our outfits, right? But a wise man once told me that, Leah, I am not here to critique you. I am here to worship with you. What I want to do today is encourage all of us to have that mind frame of worshiping together. No matter if we're the pastor, the usher, the music director, we all have to have that eye or that spirit of doing it together. I'm going to mess up, right? The music person might mess up. The usher might put you in the wrong seat. But as our job as Christians, I don't think it's for us to critique. I think it is to participate in ways that further the kingdom. So when you come to service, I want to thank you for your willingness to participate in all the elements that are in worship, okay? And do it the way that you feel God has called you to do. But I just wanted to share because no one had ever told me the elements of worship and why it was important to participate. So I just thought I'd share. Have a blessed day, y'all. See you soon.